What does this night still have to say to our lives? 2,000 years after the birth of Jesus, after so many Christmases spent amid decorations and gifts, after so much consumerism that has packaged the mystery we celebrate, there is a danger. We know many things about Christmas, but we forget its real meaning. So how do we rediscover the meaning of Christmas, and above all, where can we go to find it? The Gospel of Jesus' birth appears to have been written precisely for this purpose, to take us by the hand and lead us where God would have us go. So let's follow the Gospel. It starts with a situation not unlike our own. Everyone is bustling about, getting ready for an important event, the great census, which called for a lot of preparation. In that sense, the atmosphere was very much like our modern celebration of Christmas. Yet the Gospel has little to do with that worldly scenario. It quickly shifts our gaze to something else, which it considers more important. It focuses on a small and apparently insignificant detail that it nonetheless mentions 3 times, always in relation to the central figures in the narrative. First, Mary places Jesus in a manger. Then the angels tell the shepherds about a child wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger. And finally, the shepherds, who find the child lying in the manger. The manger. In order to rediscover the meaning of Christmas, we need to look there. And yet, why is the manger so important? Because it is the sign, and not by chance, of Christ's coming into the world. This is how he announces his coming. It is the way God is born in history, so that history itself can be reborn. So, what does the manger tell us through the Lord's birth? Through the manger we're told at least 3 things: closeness, poverty, and concreteness. Closeness. The manger serves as a feeding trough to enable food to be consumed more quickly. In this way, it can symbolize one aspect of our humanity, our greed for consumption. For while animals feed in their stalls, men and women in our world, in their hunger for wealth and power, consume even their neighbors, even their brothers and sisters. How many wars, and in how many places even today, are human dignity and freedom treated with contempt? As always, the principal victims of this human greed are the weak and the vulnerable. This Christmas, too, a world ravenous for money, power, and pleasure does not make room, as was the case for Jesus, for the little ones, for so many unborn, poor, and forgotten children. I think above all of the children devoured by war, poverty, and injustice. Yet, those are the very places to which Jesus comes, a child in the manger of rejection and refusal. In him, the child of Bethlehem, every child is present, and we ourselves are invited to view life, politics, and history through the eyes of children. In the manger of rejection and discomfort, Jesus makes himself present. He comes there, because that's where the problem of humanity is. The indifference produced by the greedy rush to possess and consume. There, in that manger, Christ is born, and there we discover his closeness to us. He comes there to a feeding trough to become our food. God is no father who devours his children, but is the Father who in Jesus makes us his children and feeds us with his tenderness. He comes to touch our hearts and to tell us that love alone is the power that changes the course of history. He does not remain distant and mighty, but draws near to us in humility. Leaving his throne in heaven, he lets himself be laid in a manger. Dear brother, dear sister, tonight God is drawing near to you because you are important to him. From the manger as food for your life, he tells you, if you feel consumed by events, if you are devoured by a sense of guilt and inadequacy, if you hunger for justice, I, your God, am with you. I know what you're experiencing, for I experienced it myself in that manger. I know your weaknesses, your failings, and your history. I was born to tell you that I am and always will be close to you. The Christmas manger, the first message of the divine child, tells us that God is with us, he loves us, and he seeks us. So take heart. Don't let yourself be overcome by fear, resignation, or discouragement. God was born in a manger so that you could be reborn in the very place where you thought you'd hit rock bottom. There's no evil, there's no sin from which Jesus does not want or can save you. Christmas means that God is close to us. May our confidence be reborn. The manger of Bethlehem speaks to us not only of closeness, but also of poverty. Around the manger, there is very little. There's hay and straw, a few animals, but little else. People were warm in the inn, but not here in the coldness of the stable. Yet that is where Jesus was born. And the manger reminds us that he was surrounded by nothing but love. Mary, Joseph, and the shepherds, all poor people, united by affection and awe, not by wealth and great expectations. The poor poverty of the manger thus shows us where the true riches in life are to be found, not in money and power, but in relationships and persons. And the first person, the greatest wealth, is Jesus himself. Yet, do we want to stand at his side? Do we draw close to him? Do we love his poverty? Or do we prefer to remain comfortably in our own interests and concerns? Above all, do we visit him where he is to be found, namely in the poor mangers of our world? For that is where he's present, and we are called to be a church that worships a Jesus who is poor, and that we serve Jesus in the poor. And as a saintly bishop once said, the Church supports and blesses efforts to change the structures of injustice and sets down but one condition, that social, economic, and political change truly benefit the poor. And the Pope is quoting Oscar Romero. Certainly, it's not easy to leave the comfortable wealth of worldliness to embrace the stark beauty of the grotto of Bethlehem. But let's remember that it's not truly Christmas without the poor. Without the poor, we can celebrate Christmas, but not the birth of Jesus. Dear brothers, dear sisters, at Christmas, God is poor. May charity be reborn. And we now come to our last point. The manger speaks to us of concreteness. Indeed, a child lying in a manger presents us with a scene that is striking, even crude. It reminds us that God truly became flesh. As a result, all our theories, our fine thoughts, and our pious sentiments are no longer enough. Jesus was born poor, lived poor, and died poor. He did not so much talk about poverty as live it to the very end for our sake. From the manger to the cross, his love for us was always palpable, concrete. From birth to death, the carpenter's son embraced the roughness of the wood, the harshness of our existence. He did not love us only in words. He loved us with utter seriousness. Consequently, Jesus is not satisfied with appearances. He who took on our flesh wants more than simply good intentions. He who was born in the manger demands a concrete faith made up of adoration and charity, not empty words and superficiality. He who laid naked in the manger and would hang naked on the cross asks us for truth. He asks us to go to the bare reality of things and to lay at the feet of the manger all our excuses, our justifications, and our hypocrisies. Tenderly wrapped in swaddling clothes by Mary, he wants us to be clothed in love. God does not want appearances, but concreteness. May we not let this Christmas pass by without doing something good. Since it is his celebration, his birthday, let us give him the gifts he finds pleasing. At Christmas, God is concrete. In his name, let us help a little hope to be reborn anew in those who feel hopeless.
Gesù, guardiamo a te, adagiato nella mangiatoia. Ti vediamo così vicino, vicino a noi per sempre. Grazie, Signore. Ti vediamo povero a insegnarci che la vera ricchezza non sta nelle cose, ma nelle persone, soprattutto nei poveri. Scusaci se non ti abbiamo riconosciuto e servito in loro. Ti vediamo concreto perché concreto è il tuo amore per noi. Gesù, aiutaci a dare carne e vita alla nostra fede. Amen.
And our Holy Father concluded, Jesus, we behold you lying in the manger. We see you as close, ever at our side. Thank you, Lord. We see you as poor, in order to teach us that true wealth does not reside in things but in persons, and above all in the poor.